Nissan's EV factory in Sunderland is a tribute to UK motor manufacturing, and the ASC battery factory is the first in Europe for over a decade and the UK's only one with a capacity of 1.8 gigawatt hours per year. Nissan's latest EV, the Micra, is hailed as a British icon for the last 40 years and styled and designed in the UK. So it's entirely logic to be built in Sunderland. Oh no, hold on. No, it isn't. Scratch that. It's built in France on the Renault 5 platform. What's going on? Plus we get to discover the UK EV grant. Does this one qualify? And how much does it get? All will be revealed. I'm Dave. I'm taking on the new Nissan Micra EV, built in France by the French. Well, this is a small car, makes no mistake, but not as small as others in this category. And there is one that is considerably smaller than you would expect. So where does the Micra stand? Well, this is not a comparison video, but it is important to see where it fits in. Its most obvious competitor is the Renault 5 because it is one. Well, at least it shares the same platform with it, built in France, probably in the same factory. It'll be interesting to see what the French designers and the UK designers have done with basically the same platform, the battery and the motor. So let's start with that size. So the Micra comes in at 3,974 millimetres versus the Renault 5 3922, just a couple of inches longer. The width is similar, 1830 versus 1803. About an inch, and height's within a millimetre. And this makes the Micra a slightly bigger car than the Renault 5, but it's also up against the likes of the Hyundai Insta, and that really is small. It's 3825 long, it's losing 6 inches, 149 millimetres is 1610 wide, losing nearly 10 inches, 220 millimetres. That's massive, but the height it wins 3 inches or 76 mil. It's exactly the same price range as Insta. It's a really small, a very small car. And that shows in the seats. The Micra and Renault 5 claim 5-seater. They're not, while the Insta claims only 4. Probably is. But the Micra and Renault 5 offer much more space per pound. That's money pound, not weight pound. Well, comparing battery size with the same competitors, we get 43 kilowatt hour total, 40 kilowatt usable for the basic version. Both the Micra, Renault 5, they're the same. And 55 kilowatt total, 52 kilowatt usable for the long range versions. The Insta, meanwhile, claims 42 kilowatt total, 39 for the basic, 49 total and 46 usable for their long range. Little in it, but of course it's not how big it is, it's what you do with it. It's performance. And here we see virtually no difference between the Micra and the Renault 5. It's on the same platform, the same battery. They both have similar 90 kilowatt power, claim 0 to 60 in 9 seconds. The long range version takes 8 seconds. The Insta, meanwhile, 11.7 seconds with the 71 kilowatt power and 10.5 with the 85. It might be able to nip in and out the traffic because it's small, but it'll do it much slower. We'll look at range a bit later, as this is rather interesting. Oh, by the way, if you're enjoying or learning from this video, please hit the like button and please also subscribe if you haven't. It makes such a difference to a channel like ours. Okay, so we know the size, performance, but what have the UK stylists and designers done with it? Which model really stands out? Well, I believe the Insta is in a much smaller category, so it's going to drop out of this comparison, leaving the Japanese-owned, UK-styled and designed Micra or the French-owned, styled and designed Renault 5. Doesn't that make you ask the question, what's happened to the UK manufacturing industry? Why don't we make our own cars anymore? Why isn't there a Vauxhall Astra made here, or a Ford Fiesta, or a Mini? Oops. Well, the Mini actually is about the only car that could be classed as being made in Britain. And it's made here at Oxford. Well done, BMW. Thanks for choosing the UK to make this icon of British motoring. Sorry, Micra, you're not a 40-year icon. The Mini surely holds that title. Good try. But hold on, the classic Mini Countryman, that's made in Leipzig, that's Germany. And BMW has just done a deal with Great Wall Motors, Chinese EV company that makes the Aura, to make some Minis. Is that a well done UK, keep making these versions, we believe in you? Or is it, well, let's see how much cheaper the Chinese Minis come in, and if they're good enough, we'll decide later what's going to come of the Oxford factory. We'll need to wait and see. But the Micra is really a different concept. It's bold, thrilling and fun to drive, with the tag reborn with an even bigger attitude. I'm not sure many people class the old Micra as having attitude. To most it was just a good, cheap, small car. So what does the new Micra claim? Well, the styling, it's sort of traditional if you think EVs have yet built up a tradition. It's nice and boxy, offering maximum interior space. It is stylish, but that's in the eye of the beholder. The colour range, in my opinion, is good. They have two lovely blues, striking red. They should not be hidden behind a grey or black exterior, unless they do bring out a GT version later with red or yellow stripes to set it off. That's me. Lovely set of alloy wheels, by the way. This is something to note when comparing prices. Most base models of ICE cars come with steel wheels and plastic wheel covers. Most EVs leap in straight with alloys, and nice ones are that. These are 18-inch rims that seem about right. And even when you go up to the longer range, they keep this size. They go a bit snazzier with sport alloys. Yeah. There are basically three trim levels: as Engage, the most basic, Advance and Evolve. And these are available in either 40 kilowatts or 52 kilowatt battery sizes. Different models obviously have different specs, and the price starts at $22,995 for the smaller battery and basic spec, and the higher spec, same battery, is just $2,000 more, $24,995, and that seems a bit of a no-brainer. The larger battery model starts at $26,995 and the top model is $29,865. And that, the very top models are a touch too pricey for my liking, and it hits far more competition. But inside, it's definitely stylish. There's a 10.1-inch central infotainment display and a 7-inch driver display in the base model. Another 10.1 for the upgraded and the long-range ones. These are Google, labelled as Nissan Connect. They have Google Assistant if you want to chat to someone. They got Google Play if you get bored. I did Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you realise that this basic model is pretty well equipped when it comes to technology. They seem to include quite a lot in their base model. And even the base model has a heat pump for heater for the cabin. And as you move up the models, so you get more, especially in the DAS, that's the driver assistance systems like adaptive cruise control. This one has stop and go. The long range offers even more, and a myriad of other features included in their ProPilot Assist. That's included in the long range version. But even the base model has got very good safety features: emergency braking, lane alert, warning. Well, I come to range and charging. Now, I recently launched a video stating that most UK drivers cover less than 20 miles a day. It's based on 8,000 miles a year. And the AA stated that 95% of all journeys are less than 100 miles. So, for most drivers, the base model range will be perfectly sufficient for their day-to-day driving. I did get a load of comments about, many extra features are only available on the higher models with the bigger batteries, but I still stand by my opinion. For range, the base model will almost certainly be good enough for the average UK motorist. And with the Micra, they offer that higher spec, the Advance, still with the 40 kilowatt battery. That's going to make you think. Well, that upgrade is just a few thousand. However, if you want to upgrade higher for even more comfort, features, performance, or nicer wheels, please do so. You're obviously prepared to pay a bit extra to do that. Well, as a bonus, you're going to get the bigger battery and long range anyhow. But don't expect such a massive boost in range. So let's look at those specs for range, and then we'll tackle charging. The 40 kilowatt hour battery gives a WLTP range of 110 to 245 miles. The 52 kilowatt gives 145 to 310. Now that's quite a spread, so before you panic, let's see what it actually means. In the winter, EV batteries lose some of their efficiency and are able to cover shorter distances. Likewise, on a motorway, they're less efficient. It's just the way they are. So worst case scenario, it's winter, you're blasting along the motorway, 70 plus miles an hour, minus 30. You're likely to get a little over 110 miles before you need to recharge. Now, word of reality. Winter means really cold, like minus 20 and below. And we don't get that over here. Well, not very often. Our average temperature is classed as +2 to +7. That's not very cold. It's not in the scheme of things, and certainly not in terms of WLTP, worst case scenario. You're unlikely ever to experience the worst case. And besides, if you precondition your battery, meaning preheat it, from the mains or the charger before setting off, it'll not even be that bad in the worst winter you can imagine. However, in the summer and in city driving, where these little Micras will excel, you could be getting 240 miles for the base model, 310 with the larger battery. Well, bring it down to reality, several motoring organisations take it upon themselves to test these in real world rather than labs, on a real road and with real drivers doing normal driving, and they produce what they call real world ranges. Now, it doesn't matter which of these you choose, there's lots to choose from. I tend to use Electric Vehicle Database, that's ev-database.org, so all my figures are their real world ranges, and they've tested the Micra and report the base model is likely to give you about 160 miles average, while the larger battery will make that 205 miles average. And that's plenty for the average UK motorist for a week between charges, or for those that can charge at home, well, it's just no problem. You plug it in every night and you never get anywhere near having to worry about public charging or range anxiety. Well, just out of interest, these are identical to the range figures for the Renault 5, while the Insta claims 155 miles. So that brings us on to charging. The Micra, indeed the Renault 5, they've all got NMC batteries. These are the nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries. And these tend to be slightly out of favour with EV drivers in recent days. First, they're generally believed to be much more likely to catch fire. They aren't. Back in the day, some of the early batteries were manufactured with a defect, and these did give serious worries. But they were all replaced by the manufacturer, thereby admitting liability. Today, they're built to much higher standards. The manufacturers understand the chemistry far better, and while technically slightly more prone than LFP, they suffer significantly fewer fires than petrol cars. NMC batteries should not be a major safety concern these days. However, the mention of children scrabbling in mines in countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, digging out cobalt with their bare hands, that is becoming more of an environmental concern. NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt, mainly come from countries that we normally would not trade with. For this reason, most EV and battery manufacturers are moving away from NMC and favouring LFP, which is cheaper, or sodium ion, which is much cheaper, which use none of these rare elements. That's a moral choice for you to make. The Micra has the combined CCS2 and Type 2 charging sockets, absolutely standard these days, giving you a choice. The AC charging, such as home charging or fast chargers, that's limited to 11 kilowatts. So while there are some fast public chargers out there offering 22 kilowatts AC, your car's only going to use 11. For DC charging, this uses the CCS2 socket, has a maximum speed of 80 kilowatts. Yeah, it is perfectly safe to plug this into a 350 kilowatt DC charger. Your EV will only take what it can safely handle. Now, simple maths says that charging a 40 kilowatt hour battery at 80 kilowatts should take about half an hour, and indeed it does, but not for that reason. The typical charge here is quoted at 32 minutes. In reality, charging speed is never at the maximum, but you never arrive at a charger completely empty. There's always some left. And most sensible people never always charge to 100%. That just takes forever. The standard's about 80%, so stopping at a public charger is quite quick and easy. Well, to help further reduce the time you take to charge at a public charger, I already mentioned about preconditioning your battery. The Micra offers this, as does the Renault. The ambient temperature is not the deciding factor about battery efficiency, or your charging speed, or the time taken to charge. While it might be minus 30 centigrade or colder outside, if your battery is really nice and warm, it will be operating nice and efficiently, and it will charge very much quicker. So as a matter of habit, always use battery preconditioning. Now, in case you get told this uses up energy, wastes range, just remember, if you don't preheat, it will. The preheaters will automatically come on once you plug in. The electricity will come from the charger, and it will preheat your battery anyway, but you'll be charging much more slowly until those heaters get the battery up to the optimum temperature. Well, a final point on charging: if you use public charger and you are lucky enough to be near a fastnet charger, Micra offers auto charge compatibility. This simplifies the entire charging process down to just plugging in. We've done loads of videos on this. It's a fantastic system. Well, everything else is automated. You don't need contactless, RFID, anything like that. Micra also offers V2L that allows you to use the power stored in your battery for mains operated equipment when you're out on the road. You might want to take your favourite coffee maker instead of paying $5 a cup. Just remember, the maximum you can draw from this is 3.7 kilowatts, so an electric kettle is about your limit. It won't run your house. Well, it's such a shame that the Micra is not built in the UK using batteries made in the UK, but it looks a really nice car. Now, the petrol version was really popular over several decades. The Micra EV could easily do the same. It's not down into the ultra-cheap Chinese range like the BYD Dolphin Surf at just under 19k, but that model's got so much less. It's even got a smaller 30 kilowatt hour battery, and everything else is cut back. You will notice the difference. This at 23,000. It's a touch on the dear side, but it does include many of the features you'd not expect. Like, one version has a Harman Kardon 9-speaker sound system. Well, the original Micra probably had a radio as an optional extra, but only on the better models. I am looking forward to driving this car. Now, we've yet to see the list of cars that qualify for the new UK EV subsidy. It's maximum of 3,750, but it depends on so much else. And this is the first car that I have seen which now openly declares what it's going to get. So for the Nissan Micra, when it launches next month, the grant you will get is £1,500. Now, it's not the full amount, and there's a possibility it's not even the grant. I know some of the manufacturers are now saying they're just going to give you a grant, implying that they've got a grant. I'm not saying that's the case here, but what we know is that the grant maximum is 3,750, but it's dependent on the cleanliness, the green credentials of the national grid in the country it's made. Nissan Micra, does that include Japan or is that the UK? It gets really confusing. Where's the battery made? Same place as the Renault 5. So we have to believe that the Renault 5, when it announces the relevant EV subsidy, may well be a very similar figure. We'll wait and see.